13th Town Regular Council meeting to order. I'd like to welcome all this crowd we have tonight. And I'd also like to welcome those watching by way of the internet. And let's see what's on the calendar. On the calendar, we have May 26th. The town offices will be closed for Memorial Day. We have Tuesday, May 27th will be our next scheduled town council meeting. Move right along. Candace, we have no public comment from Jesse or Paige
Not
or
overwhelming.
Lynn or anybody
Turnout
got
this
any
evening.
comment?
Birthday Wayne.
Okay. And then we'll move on to additions, deletions to the agenda. Does anybody know any additions or deletions? If not, I'll ask for a motion that they be approved.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Okay. We skipped one, the additions or deletions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
No
I
addition.
move we approve the consent agenda.
okay, you've already, all right, need a second on that.
Second.
Second from John. Okay, I'm gonna depend on you two guys. Major lead tonight.
Need to vote.
Right
You need
along,
to call the vote, Mr. Mayor.
ma'am.
You have to call the vote.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, your light sign. So ordered. On the consent agenda, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, your light sign. So ordered. Okay, we'll move right along to the next item. Next item is, I figured Vicki would be here, boss, on the proclamation today. A proclamation here for the week of May 18th. Get that on here, May 18th. Somewhere I said it was May 18th through the 25th, I believe it was. May 18th through the 24th will be National Public Works Week. So I have a proclamation in that order. I will read that proclamation. Whereas public works professionals serve in their communities every day, meeting the needs of people is what gives public works its sense of purpose. Focusing on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to sustainability and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life and well-being of the people of North Carolina. Whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and private sector, who are responsible for building, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in North Carolina to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. Whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association and Canadian Public Works Association, Be It Now. Now therefore, I, Gary Caldwell, Mayor of Town of Waynesville, do hereby proclaim the week May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies and activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. And witness where I have hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the town of Waynesville in Waynesville, North Carolina, this the 13th day of May 2025. You pass that along to Ricky and let him post that, maybe over at Public Works over there, Kansas. Make a note and ask him if he would do that. And ask him to be present next time. This is his day, isn't it? I'm just kidding around. Okay, we'll move right along into new business. We got a resolution here for the town to continue participation in the French Broad River Metropolitan Planning Organization, ET. Where did you come from? You just hop in?
Yes, sir.
While you were reading.
I think.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for letting me bring this to you. This is our updated memorandum of participation with the French Broad River Metropolitan Planning Organization. As y'all know, it's a partnership between local and state government that makes decisions about transportation planning for the region. And it's a required part of the transportation planning process for states to pull down federal dollars and apply them locally. The town of Waynesville is a participating local government in the French Broad River MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization. And this memorandum of understanding meets all the federal and state requirements. And the French Broad River MPO has asked each local government to adopt a resolution approving the MOU. So in your agenda packet there, you'll see a resolution and a copy of the memorandum of understanding for the French Broad River MPO. I'm happy to answer any questions.
This is the same as Anthony serves as chair on.
He does. And I'm sorry he can't be here tonight, but he is our chair of the Transportation Advisory Committee, or TAC, which is the elected official governing body of the French Broad River MPO. I'm a member of the TCC, which is the Technical Coordinating Committee of the MPO. And I also work on what we call the Prioritization Subcommittee, which does a lot of the technical work that kind of vets the recommendations that are coming.
Yeah.
So it's a multi-layered organization. It tries to promote cooperation and public participation amongst the local governments of the region. Through that process, we've been able to advocate for improvements to I-40 in Haywood County. We've looked at and have received funding for both, the South Main corridor and the Russ Avenue corridor study were technical documents funded by the MPO way back when that led to the projects that are going now. So it's a process that takes several years for a project to be conceptualized and then put on what we call the Transportation Improvement Program. But the MPO is that organization that makes that happen.
Yes, I want to thank you so much for all the years that you've been involved with that, because I keep, you do this each year, I know that you've been involved with it for a long time yourself and have done some outstanding work to make a lot of that stuff happen. And so I want to personally thank you on behalf of this board for everything that you have did.
Thank you,
On that
Mr. Mayor. I
committee
appreciate
there.
that.
I really do.
Mr. Mayor, you and Anthony are the two voting members of the MPO?
Correct. He votes on the TAC and I vote on the TCC.
And for future reference, how do we appoint those two members? Did we?
I appoint the MPO off of this board.
So the mayor does it?
Yeah, off of this board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or the one on this board, how do you get it?
I was appointed several years ago and I've just kept.
Just the town board, I'm not
No.
complaining about anything, I'm just wondering the process
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
future.
Generally, the town council appoints someone to be their representative and for both the TAC and TCC.
Okay. And so what are you doing when, to prepare someone for when you go off the board?
Right now, some of my staff, I've appointed Alex Mumby to kind of shadow me with
Okay,
some
cool.
of that. He's particularly interested in transportation planning, and
Nice.
so he's been attending some of those meetings and he's gone to some workshops.
Yeah, he actually wanted to organize that transportation thing that we did for a couple of weeks.
Oh, the video. Yes,
With,
we'll have to show this at a future meeting, but you adopted a resolution for Strive Beyond Cars Week, which happens the week after next. Yeah, and as part of that, Haywood County Transit is offering free transit rides for the week. And we did a little promotional video with the mayor and the county commission chair, Kevin Hensley, and Mr. Moon and Polar Pete, and a very young citizen of Waynesville, Raylan Thompson. And it's a cute video.
it was a fun-filled day. We all became kids again.
Yeah. We have it finished. We are awaiting approval of the tourists.
Right,
before-
yeah.
Yeah,
That was the last I had, that they have to approve
before we
the
show
video.
it. But
And
hopefully we'll get that tomorrow. They've had it for a
Yeah,
couple of
we
days.
plan to put it on the agenda for the next meeting so that y'all can view it.
Okay, all right. Okay, guys.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt the resolution to continue participation in the French Broad River Metropolitan Planning Organization.
Motion by Chuck,
Second.
second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. So ordered. Thank you, Miss E.T., again, for all you do. Okay, presentation of the 2025, 2026 budget will be Rob Heights.
This is the moment we always look forward to every year. In accordance with the provisions of the North Carolina General Statute, your staff presents the proposed municipal operating and capital budget for fiscal year 2025-26. Our forecast of revenues and expenditures is based on the same economic outlook as the national economy, uncertainty. Due to the state's moratorium on new connections to the sewer system, we've had very little increase in the ad valorem tax base. The growth of the town's sales tax revenue has slowed and in some months decreased. The only bright spot in our revenue is investment income. Increased interest rates have provided a substantial increase in investment income. We predict a 17% increase over the past year. We depended on the 2025-26 revaluation to help us with our cash flow. However, damage by the hurricane to real properties resulted in the county postponing the revaluation for 2 years. To summarize, we don't project any appreciable increase in revenue. On the expenditure side of the budget, we're facing an unfunded mandate by the state that requires an increase in employee retirement by 1%. This requirement amounts to $148,302 in the general fund. And to put this in perspective, 1 penny on the tax rate raises $156,000. So you see that just this 1% in the general fund almost equals a penny on the tax rate. Liability insurance costs are expected to increase by 50% due to losses experienced by Hurricane Helen. We foresee price increases in all areas of the economy that will place more pressure on employees and their families. To help them with the inflation, the town council requested that we include a 2.5% career track and a 1% cost of living adjustment. The increases in the general fund amount to $431,868. We've reduced operating expenditure and virtually eliminated capital spending to offset these inflationary increases. Given the economic outlook of our economy, it's not an appropriate time to increase spending except for critical needs. We do not recommend increasing the town's ad valorem tax rate, its water, stormwater, or electric funds. We will request an increase in the sewer rate of 10% to fund the town's first year payment of $1,200,000 on its $29 million state revolving loan, as well as several required improvements in the sewer system. After all adjustments to revenue and expenditures, we estimate the general fund will increase $878,084 or 4.5% when compared to last year. The town is a corporation that manages 5 distinct businesses: general, water, sewer, electric, and stormwater. Except for comparison's sake, the town council and staff treat these services as separate concerns. The town keeps separate sets of books and charges each fund for services for other funds provide. For example, in the general fund, the recreation department is charged for electricity, water, and sewer at the same rate as private businesses. For the upcoming 25-26 fiscal year, the combined budget for the town of Waynesville is recommended to be $40,144,415. The personnel section. The town council recognizes that hiring and retaining experienced workforce is essential to its pledge to provide quality services to its residents and visitors. It's asked the staff to dedicate the majority of revenue increases to increases in employee compensation. The council's made great strides in hiring and retaining personnel, resulting in a near fully staffed workforce. The staff is working diligently to train this workforce in job-related skill sets and customer service skills. The budget proposal does not recommend any new positions. It fully funds the reclassification of the town clerk to grade 70. It also creates positions of Deputy Public Works Director for Operations and Deputy Public Works Director for Administration by reclassifying the Asset Services Supervisor and Assistant Director of Public Works. It reclassifies the Public Works Administrative Assistant to Public Works Coordinator. In salaries and benefits, the town will increase its contribution to the local government retirement system by 1%. The total town contribution to Elgers is local government retirement system is 14.5% of each employee's salary and 16.1% of sworn officers. Waynesville also contributes 5% of an employee's salary to a 401k. Waynesville fully funds an employee's health insurance benefits, including a $4,500 health reimbursement account. The town also contributes 75% of an employee's family health coverage. Our health insurance rate is tied to the town's medical loss ratio, the cost of the claims submitted by the employees and their families. The town's experience rating and rate increases are evaluated annually. The insurance companies prefer medical loss ratio to stay less than 70%. Thanks to a healthy workforce, our insurance loss ratio is 68%. Due to that positive rating, our insurance carrier will not request an increase in insurance premiums. We received a quote on property and liability insurance for $475,310, a 50% increase. The increase is due to the town's insurance claims from Helene. If you remember, we have to submit claims on our own insurance first before FEMA kicks in and picks up the rest. At this point, Ian is going to briefly take you through the revenue and expenditure proposals, and we'll present a much more detailed presentation of the budget during your budget public hearing. We recommend to you that you set your public hearing for May 27th. That's your next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. John, you have any questions for
No, sir.
We're also going to electronically send all y'all the budget. Okay.
So this is just going to be kind of a high-level overview of the budget, going through the different funds, kind of showing you where we are with the revenues, what all the expenses are made up of. So First, we have the general fund. So about 46% of our general fund revenues are going to be the ad valorem taxes, and about 25% is made up of other taxes and licensing. And then it just kind of declines in terms of how much some of these other categories contribute to revenues. I have a copy of this. Let me pull it out so I can do it a little easier. So we have a little over 4.8 million from the other taxes and licenses. In terms of unrestricted intergovernmental revenues, we have $841,500. Restricted, we have a $463,500. Permits and fees sitting at $326,800. We've seen a big increase this year in terms of planning fees. That's been a really big plus. How many people are paying for permits and other stuff through our planning and development services department. We have a little over 1.4 million for our sales and services, and then all other revenues comes to 497,000 and 1,971,521 for other financing sources. And then with the expenses, no surprise that personnel and fringe are going to be our biggest expenses. In the general fund alone, they're just over 79%. Roughly that comes out to $15,205,308. And the next biggest expense is going to be the overall operating expenses. We're at $5,081,646. We have a little over $722,000 for loan payments that will be due this year. It's just a little less than last year, the way the amortization schedule is set up. So kept a little over $3 million for charges by the general fund to other funds, and capital outlay we have at $270,000. 20,000 of that is for a new mower for the cemetery department, and then 250,000 is going to replacing the public works roof. It's in desperate need of replacement. Water fund, again, we're not looking at any rate increases for water. Been collecting pretty well on that, so we're projecting in terms of revenue for customer charges, $3,479,876. And then all other revenues, we're at $66,500. And other financing sources, we're at $97,660. For the expenses, we're just about at 41% for personnel and fringe benefits. Again, pretty much every fund is going to be our largest expense. Then we're at $1,231,233 for operating expenses, 68,713 for debt payments, 760,574 is going to be our charges by the general fund, and then $100,000 for capital outlay, the water department. So the $100,000 is for a high track excavator. It'll basically make it a lot cleaner for doing any work on water lines. It's about I think currently it's about a 25-year-old machine, so it's definitely in need of some replacement. Sewer fund revenue. So we are recommending a 10% increase in our sewer rate this year. With that 10%, that would put our customer charges at $4,718,250. And then all other revenues at $148,875. So for our expenses in the sewer fund, we're at $1,669,035 for personnel and fringe. Operating, we're at $475,045 for operating. And then the loan payments, we're going to be beginning our first payments on the new treatment plant this fiscal year 26. That payment is going to be $1,202,295. Due to starting this debt repayment here, we did our calculations taking the sewer fund out of the equation in terms of what the general fund charges for the work that is done in it. We just, we need to focus on making sure the sewer will be good and making that debt payment. And then we have $100,000 for capital outlay. Capital outlay for that is going to be restoring one of the chlorinators at the plant. And our electric fund, we're projecting $11,338,500 for customer charges, then $91,000 in all other revenues. So for our main expenses, this might be the only fund where personnel and fringe is not the largest piece of that cake there. The power purchases, we're keeping our budget from last year for that. Right now we're coming under, but it's kind of hard to tell, how pricing will look if we get hit with a fuel charge at the end of the year. That's what happened last year. So we'd rather be safe than sorry for that. Personnel and fringe, we have budgeted a little over $505,000. Now we've got $1,352,290 for operating expenses. We have no loan payments in the electric fund. And charges by the general fund, we're at $1,255,236. We're at $200,000 in capital. This is for a backyard machine. And we're at $1,646,921 for operating transfers. Then stormwater. Stormwater's only got one revenue. It's customer charges. Projecting about $193,238. We're just so last fiscal year we had budgeted just about $200,000. So we're budgeting just a little bit under that mark. Because we're a little bit under where we should be in terms of collecting that stormwater revenue. This number will be easier to 100% collect. The stormwater fund, personnel and fringe, we're at $76,573, $34,575 for operating, and $82,090 as charged by the general fund. All your funds.
Questions for John?
I have one question in regards to the personnel and fringe. So our staff whose responsibilities cross funds, like Bob, HR director, et cetera, are those charges for their salary spread across the funds?
That's what the charges for other
Yeah.
funds are, yes.
Okay,
Like
great.
finance, because finance, we do customer service
Yeah.
for all the utilities, so.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of a bigger
Okay.
charges.
Cool.
The finance spends more time with water, sewer, and electric than they do with general, down on Georgia Avenue. So we charge those funds appropriate.
Great.
There you go.
Anything else, John? Chuck? Nope. Okay. Thank you.
At this time, I ask the board if it'd be your pleasure to set a public hearing date so Candace can advertise it. We recommend your next meeting, the 27th.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the budget proposal for information purposes and set a public hearing on the proposed budget for May 27th at 6 p.m. at our next regularly scheduled town council meeting.
Okay, got a motion?
I am good with all that. One quick question, would you anticipate we'll adopt the budget at that meeting?
No.
No, okay.
I mean, let me say, I typically don't suspect that, but this is a strange budget for us because it has very little in it. You typically hold a budget workshop. What I might suggest is the next meeting may not be, Elizabeth, you don't have anything coming up for the next meeting, do you? Rezonings or site plan approvals or anything? And on the 27th?
We actually we'll have 2 calls for public hearing.
But just calls, and that's it.
Oh, just comment.
You could hold your public hearing and then reserve another hour for a budget workshop. And then after you finish that, you direct the staff to make the changes you request, and you could adopt, or we could adopt at the first meeting in June.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. I don't know that there's going to be that much discussion, but after the budget's presented at the public hearing, then we can ask questions or talk about it at the next meeting. I think that's a great idea.
I second Chuck's motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say like sign. Okay, Rob, set that up for May 27th,
Okay, thank you.
the next meeting. Okay, we'll go on to communication from staff. Rob, you're still up.
Mayor, I've communicated. I'm dry.
You're dry?
I'm dry.
There's nothing wrong with that. Town attorney, ma'am, do you have anything? Okay. Communication from staff? John?
Just wanted to let y'all know I had a fine time at City Vision 2025. I've been on the council for 10 years now, and that was my first excursion, and I will be going back.
Okay.
And highly recommend my fellow council members join me.
Yeah.
Where's the next year's meeting? Did they announce
In
it?
Raleigh,
Well, that works. Maybe more of you folks can go.
yeah.
I tell you what, we were exhausted. What, by noon, it was like humidity was really
Oh, what's in Greenville?
up on that.
Yeah.
It was in
It
Greenville.
was hot.
Huh?
It was hot.
Yeah.
So the only couple of things, I spent a good bit of time with our former assistant town manager, Amy Owens.
Mhm.
She and the Franklin contingent were there, so it was great catching up with her. And the other thing, and I'll bring this maybe next meeting, is the league has a certificate program called Commit to Civility. And it is a program where the council actually receives training on civility, and we can be recognized as a community that essentially achieved that certification. Several communities, including Franklin, North Carolina, received that recognition, and some pretty straightforward. We have to 75% of us must agree to participate, and we pass a proclamation and receive this web training. It's a couple of hours long, and we would be recognized at next year's conference. So I'll bring all the details.
Paige has been training our
Oh,
department heads in that very subject.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic. Highly, highly recommend.
Other thing, I thank John for organizing that cleanup that we did.
That was, oh, by the way,
Yeah.
Mayor and Chuck and Councilmember Sutton all dug, and we cleaned up around Walmart. And I think all of us are frustrated by the fact that that Walmart seems to be hesitant to do anything. But I appreciate y'all's help, and it was obviously needed. So thank you.
Yeah, the biggest mess is those wipes that they give customers, they go in the door, they must leave them in their buckets. When they go out, they blow to the railroad
Yeah.
track.
Probably picked up 200.
Yeah, that was the biggest mess of the whole
Yeah.
thing, plus half of a camper
Yeah,
left up there.
And Mr. Mayor, I don't want to let it go yet because after we finished, we realized that we had basically been cleaning up private property.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
and you know, it's a big corporation and maybe ought to do a little better job of cleaning up their own property. So I'm not quite sure what to do, but I would like to at least get some letters out or a letter out to.
You do have ordinances that require trash collection and that sort of thing that could
Yeah.
be, but that's
We might
that we
wanna
left
look
for
at
code
So we
enforcement.
might want to look at that.
Mhm.
And at least request that maybe they get rid of those lights. First
Yeah.
thing, and
Yeah.
second of all, maybe do a little better job of cleaning out their parking lot. It doesn't,
Yeah.
it just blows
What they
all
do
over.
is they just use the blowers and the people, their contractors just blow it into the grass off their parking lot. That's how all
They
the
don't even
trash.
pick it up in a truck or anything.
No, no, sir.
Well,
They
you know,
just blow it.
Anyway, we're not gonna let this go.
No.
One other thing I would point out, I don't know if y'all recall that trash that was down there in the corner
Mhm.
in the buggy. That was all, I believe, trash from Haywood Waterways cleanup.
Yeah,
And our public works folks were able to get that too. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
It occurred to me that there may also be, Councilman Dixon, there may also be tools at your disposal through the stormwater ordinance. You may, if they are blowing into the creek.
there
Blowing
is
on
a
the
creek
railroad
right.
right away.
Yeah,
right
there may
Yeah.
be some ability to protect that waterway, in addition to the ordinary code.
Well, I believe Haywood Waterways cleans up along that creek bank every year.
They do, that's one of their areas that they do that routinely.
And every piece of trash I picked up, the thought went through my mind is if I didn't pick that up, it was going in that creek.
It's going in that creek.
Which ends up in Lake Chinle.
Yep.
Okay. Chuck, you have anything?
One thing really quickly, of course, I said the last meeting that Rob and I were going to the North Carolina State Energy Conference, and we did, and we presented, and a large group of people, so a few more people found out about Waynesville
Okay,
and the flood.
yeah, and that went well.
And the flood, yeah, it went well. And there were 5 members of the Environmental Sustainability Board that went, and
Good.
we fanned out and went to all the sessions. So there's 4 or 5 different tracks that they have there. So again, it was a really good conference, and it's encouraging on the state level. Governor Stein spoke, and it's encouraging on the state level that there is such an emphasis on clean energy and that sort of thing. And of course, one of the reasons is it's such an economic boon to North Carolina with all the solar panel plant that's being built, the battery factories that are being built, and all the different kinds of clean energy jobs that are being created in North Carolina. So there's a lot of activity going on. NC State wants to train another several thousand engineering students for the future. We visited the solar array on top of the North Carolina, the engineering building at NC State,
Right.
and also a battery storage unit that they have there. And so anyway, it was very good, and our folks enjoyed it and appreciate the town sending us there. We, as I said, we got an Airbnb. Nobody asked for reimbursement for food or lodging or transportation or anything like that. So
I read somewhere where one of your members on that committee, I think it's Ms. Waller, is going to speak somewhere.
she spoke last night at a function, and I did want to mention one other thing. I'll pass this down. On Thursday evening at the Terrace Hotel, the third floor, Andrew Jones is speaking. He is a national and international expert on energy and climate policy.
Yeah.
He and his group have designed this climate simulator tool, which is an interactive tool for coming up with solutions to reducing carbon emissions and greenhouse gases.
Yeah.
He actually lives in Asheville, but he's nationally known. So the public is invited to that. It's at 6:30 Thursday evening, 2 days from now at the Terrace Hotel.
It's Terrace Hotel.
So you're invited, John, you may want to come. It's,
Heck, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I read something on that.
Yeah, so I think they'll be pretty good. Betsy Wall, who is, and this is put on by the Environmental Action Community of Western North Carolina, which is the group that the town of Waynesville and the Environmental Sustainability Board has partnered with our Department of Energy Communities LEAP grant and program.
Yeah.
And I was just talking with, within the next month or so, there'll be a lot of new information on the town website for people, and it's mainly for consumers and for people who live in Waynesville or people who live anywhere, to be able to access information about clean energy, about cost savings, and all that sort of thing. Electric vehicles and where to plug in and how to do it, solar, how to get the solar tax credits, all sorts of things. So they're working on that. Candace has been working hard with our Environmental Sustainability Board. I'd like to thank her for that.
Yeah, I actually seen someone, it might have been Sunday, Chuck, that was at the rec center, it was closed, but they were using the electric thing or charging their vehicle, I guess while they walked or something there. They went and they plugged their vehicle up down there.
And I'm hoping we're going to do a lot better. These are, when we put a lot of these in, they're the kind of the old ones that they still don't work right. I mean,
Except the one down there.
Jesse's pulled his hair out trying to get the ones at the rec center, and and ours down here is it's just been a real pain. But I think they're making them a lot better now.
Yeah.
So things are gonna get better
Yeah.
charging wise, I think, in McCann and Waynesville.
Okay, go. Candace, these applications for boards, we need to speak about those?
We approved those in the consent
They
agenda.
were what, honey?
On the consent
That was
agenda.
on the consent agenda? Okay, I just found them underneath my stuff there. I want to make sure we didn't let it go unlooked at. Okay, I don't have anything further, so I'll ask for a motion that we adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Second, Chuck, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. It's got to be a world record.
Well, it wasn't quite as fast as we know.
Isn't that a world record?
I mean, 45 minutes is nothing to